Welcome to episode 2 of Wrestling Reddit, where I just pick a couple of topics on Reddit, talk about them. It could be all over the place. Doesn't have to be WWE. It could be AEW, and maybe that's where I'll touch on some other promotions a little bit. So let's go ahead and see what some people have been talking about. Admit it, you kind of want to see the mess that this would cause if Roman Reigns won the new World Heavyweight Championship. Here's the thing. I could see that in some ways happening. Unlikely, but I could kind of see it sort of happening. Well, I guess not so much anymore now because of the whole how that has to be for Monday Night Raw. But with WWE and their history, it definitely wouldn't be completely impossible for that to happen. I would want to see it happen just because of the shitstorm that it would cause. Oh my God, the world would be in an uproar. And for those like 15 or 30 seconds that we would see the world melt down over this, I think it would just be funny. But in all seriousness, I actually would not want to see this at all. Like at all, right? Could this man, Gunther, be turned into a top babyface in the future? I could see it. There's something about him, his charisma, his demeanor, whatever you want to call it. I could see it. And I think most people, that have like a good personality that you can work with, whether they're heel or face, that can kind of flip-flop or be like an in-between. What's it called? A tween? A tweener? A wiener? Tweener? I forget what the terminology is. I could totally see him do it. I mean, you've had The Rock. You've had Jake the Snake Roberts. Oh, man. You've had Macho Man. Like, the list just goes on and on of people that were bad and then they were good. And there's not too many superstars, too many wrestlers that I could think of off the top of my head that could only play one role. Like Randy Orton, sure, he's an amazing heel, and I felt kind of does better as a heel than as a babyface. However, his most recent run with Matt Riddle, Surfer YOLO Bro, arguably it's probably one of his best runs, especially as a face. I mean, they were so over. It was just unbelievable. But no, I could totally see it. I could buy it. I don't know if it's going to happen. Again, these aren't like rumors or anything. This is just people having discussions on Reddit. What do you all think of the man, the myth, the legend, AJ Styles? Is he a WWE Hall of Famer? I mean, he's been winning titles and wrestling all over the world, all throughout these different promotions. I mean, this does not even need an explanation. I mean, if anything, and I don't want to do it, I mean, how do you not put him in it, right? This is one of those things where in the wrestling world, there's nothing divisive about this. I don't think there's anybody out there that would ever argue that he doesn't belong. I mean, we've had people that really don't belong in the Hall of Fame. This is definitely somebody who has more than paid his dues. He's overpaid them and then some. See, guaranteed, yes, easily. No. They're probably just doing that to troll. I mean, they're icons of Banana Head, for crying out loud. Undoubtedly. Very skilled, but I don't understand his gimmick. He looks like some dude cosplaying his favorite character at a video game convention. Maybe it's just me, and I'm not taking a shot at gamers or cosplay. He just kind of stands out around guys like Edge, Randy, or... Oh, yeah, with it. Well, whatever. It's just it's his little thing. But in the end... Oh, yeah. He definitely belongs. I don't even know how that was up for debate. Who main evented WrestleMania the year you were born? I'll go first. WrestleMania 23. You young punk ass mofo. When I was born, WWE didn't exist. WWF didn't exist. It was the WWF, World Wide Wrestling Federation. This was before even Jack Tunney was president/commissioner. So we had Jack Tunney as WWF president, in the early 80s all the way to the mid 90s there. Okay. It was Hisashi Shinma. He was a Japanese booker and promoter. He was noted for being an on-screen authority. And Yeah, like, I mean, that's who was running it. Like, I mean, the first WrestleMania was in '85. I was turning like 8 years old or something like that. You know what I mean? When the first one came out. So, who was main eventing? I mean, I'll tell you what was going on a little bit. February, the year that I was born, is the earliest known existing footage featuring Gorilla Monsoon on commentary. I hope you all remember Gorilla Monsoon. I mean, if I have to, to show you a picture of him, I mean, that's not what he looked like recently. That was definitely in the early days there. But yeah, during a televised arena show from Philadelphia Spectrum that aired on Prism on this date, Monsoon, alongside Prism sportcaster Dick Graham, to call the evening's main event. Superstar Billy Graham defeating Bruno Sammartino. Like, oh my God. So that's what was going on there. And Monsoon would work occasionally behind the mic, usually filling in for Vince McMahon Jr., before taking the more prolific role on the WWF commentary team starting in the fall of '82. I was like almost 5 years old there. So that's what was going on back in the day when I was born. And I was watching wrestling as young as like 1 or 2. And this is also where the NWA and the WWF had the title unification. It happened in February, happened in October. Superdome Extravaganza, kind of remember some of those title changes. Blackjack Mulligan wins the Mid-Atlantic version of the NWA United States Heavyweight Championship from Ricky Steamboat. Who else in here would we know that maybe you would know? Hector Guerrero. I believe that's Eddie Guerrero's father, if I'm not mistaken. And he took that from Rowdy Piper, wearing a mask. They wanted to note that. And Bob Backlund wins the WWF Heavyweight Championship from Superstar Billy Graham in New York. And I think that is where Bob Backlund would end up having his historic run that to this day, I mean, Roman Reigns is barely halfway there to beating Bob Backlund's run, as far as I remember the amount of days there. But anyways, Ric Flair, Greg Valentine, they were stripped of their NWA, or their Mid-Atlantic version of the NWA tag team. Yeah, Hector Guerrero. Anyway, so you could see there, this is what was going on back in my day here. Chavo Guerrero Sr., Hector Guerrero. I don't know which one was Eddie. Whatever. But that's what was happening. So just wanted to share a little bit of that for anybody who cares. And then last, but not least, I see loads of people saying there are 3 world titles now. No, there are only 2 in the eyes of the WWE. Why? Because at the unique main event of WrestleMania 38, the 2 world titles were officially unified into one undisputed title. People dislike this truth, but how WWE sees it is really all that matters, right? And I get what he's saying, but from what I remember, technically speaking, and I need a sip here of my Diet Pepsi, is in theory, they're unified. But I had heard that technically each one individually could be defended. I don't know how true that is, but this whole thing has been maddening. I mean, it's been over a year that he's been double champ. If they just wanted to truly unify them, like actually just make them one belt, why don't they just delete like the blue one, which was meant for SmackDown, like they pretty much deleted the red one, the Universal Raw one? I don't even know what happened to that one. Like, where did it go? It just vanished into thin air like some Houdini trick. I don't remember or recall the events surrounding that. But if you had this one here and this one here, okay, or make a new belt for Roman, and then for people moving forward, I mean, it's not the first time. Like, put it this way, we've had title belts, custom belts made for like The Rock, for Stone Cold, and they didn't even have a historic run at all, right? Roman Reigns of the modern era has an incredibly huge title reign here. I will say that he absolutely deserves his own sort of like head of the table bloodline belt. You get one belt. and then he holds it for however many extra couple of 100 days or whatever it's going to be, and then unveil a new belt that's going to be exclusive to SmackDown, just as this one is exclusive to Raw, right? Now let's see what some people say. They need to break up the two belts Roman have back to each brand, then make the new belt a major PLE only belt. Oh. And it's for whoever has the two brand belts to compete for. Oh, that'd be kind of interesting. Yeah, I kind of thought of some stuff like that before in the past. They need to drop the Universal and rebrand the WWE. Yeah. Either way, that new World Heavyweight Championship illegitimizes Roman Reigns' title reign now that he's a co-champion and Triple H called him a part-timer who doesn't defend the title on a daily basis. I love the belt, but damn, they throwing Roman under the bus with this belt reveal. I mean, I can see where that person's coming from. Definitely the whole two belt thing is just really weird. And I've talked about this before. It's the same thing with the tag team belts, but again, with those, we don't have a strong enough tag team division to have each brand have their own tag champions. So it's kind of nice that both SmackDown and Raw can compete for the tag champions, and then whoever wins it gets the two belts, just like Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn did from the Usos. They grab both belts. Should they just make one belt? Probably. Look at how long the Usos had them for. They should have just made one belt, but then resplit them once they have a strong enough tag team division. So maybe that's what it was. They wanted to keep them separate until it's strong enough. I don't know. Wait, who thought there was 3 world titles? Well, I mean, I sort of almost kind of did. But at the same time, I knew that Roman was never going to individually defend one, but I think he should have. Not the one that he's been holding on to for almost 1,000 days. That's the blue one. Yeah, because he's the Universal Champion. The black one's the one he won at WrestleMania 38, right? That's the one I truly feel he should have dropped to Sami Zayn in Montreal. I truly, truly feel that. Roman Reigns would have still had his historic run. He'd still be champion. He just wouldn't have 2 belts. To me, that would have made sense, but whatever. Speak of the devil there, it's really for Jack Tunney to decide. Yeah, it's just weird. I don't know if anybody can chime in on what they think is the reasoning behind all of this, but it's really weird. And now that we're talking about the belts and how Roman has like most of them, let's talk about him for a moment. So it is true. It is true that Roman Reigns asked legitimately to be part-time. Wanted to spend more time with his family. It was literally as simple as that. He's been hard for like a decade already in WWE. And he simply asked, can I still have my thing going on with my reign, but I don't, show up at every single pay-per-view. I don't show up at every single, Raw or SmackDown or whatever. I'm literally just part-time, but I'm still the big deal. And they were willing to accommodate him for that in the same fashion I think they did with Brock Lesnar. I don't know if they did that one for a different reason, but Roman Reigns, that is a real thing, a real interview. That is why he's part-time. It's because he literally just wanted to be part-time. I don't know if that means like in the next, I don't know. I don't want to speculate here, but in the next handful of years, could he just be like, you know what, I'm done. Like in another 3-4 years, he'll have been at this 14-something years. He may be done someday. Who knows? I mean, I forget how old a lot of that has to do with, how old. Oh my God, he's young. He's only 37. Okay. Yeah, he's only 37. Oh yeah, I mean, there's still people wrestling in their mid to late 40s and early 50s, like Jericho and all that. Yeah, it's hard to say, anyways, what he's going to do. He could end up just wanting to retire a bit early, too. It's really hard to say. But when you have someone that wants to go part-time, doesn't that kind of make you wonder if they're just eventually just going to want to be up and done with it? I guess only time will tell. But yeah, in closing, I hope Seth Rollins wins this one. I hope they do something unique for Roman, really. I mean, the rumor is he's going to still be champion until next WrestleMania. I mean, that's pretty hog wild when you really think about it. So, come on. Like, it literally... I think it bothers me only because my brain doesn't understand the why behind it. If Triple H called me and was like, listen, I'm going to tell you this. This is why we're doing it this way. Then I'd be, oh, I get it. Maybe he could say something quickly that would shed light on the logic behind the decision. You know, for a couple of weeks or whatever, that's one thing. Like I've mentioned before, Ultimate Warrior, definitely not in recent history, but when he beat Hogan at WrestleMania 6 there in Toronto, some 30-something years ago, he was dual champion, but he was defending each belt individually, right? He didn't have them for, you know, a bunch of years. Anyhow, as always, if you liked the video, go ahead, give it a thumbs up. It does greatly help support the channel with the algorithm. If you didn't like the video, go ahead, give it a thumbs down. We'll bend it in half, we'll twist it, and you'll get a little bit of this. If you want to subscribe to the channel, naturally that would be great. But if not, thanks for stopping by anyways. Take care, and maybe I'll see some of you in the next one. Bye for now.